Before proceeding to the class, I have mailed you the total RM and IPR study material and question bank. Did you receive?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, as regards to units 4 and 5 of AFM, I will try to send some question bank to you. All right. Coming to the class. Now, today we have now, and in the afternoon 2 to 3, we have coastal engineering. Now, I want to get clarification from those who have not opted coastal engineering. Are they free during 2 to 3 also? Because the class is only exclusively coastal engineering. So they must be free. Are they free? Those who have taken EIA. Who are the students who have taken EIA? Let me see. Number 3, Avila.
Yes, sir.
I think you are free.
Yes, sir. 2 to 3 free only, sir.
Then what we do is 2 to 3 also I will take groundwater engineering class. So
Okay, sir.
all of you join. I will give the link. See, my only concern is for groundwater. If we finish early, already today we will be mostly completing the second unit also, and third unit is very important. It takes a lot of time. So I want to get as much time as required as possible. So first I will cover that groundwater engineering. Then because the syllabus for coastal and ocean engineering is small, and we can cover it in less number of periods. So until I tell all the groundwater ocean engineering classes will be converted to uh, your groundwater classes only. That means, let me see the timetable. We have tomorrow, uh, Tuesday. Tomorrow we have 9 to 10 class, and 12 to 1 is coastal engineering. Right? So what I will be doing is, instead of 9 to 10, I will be taking class from 11 to onwards. 11 to 1, groundwater. And in the afternoon, I don't have class. Okay, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I have 2 to 3. So, again, Wednesday, 2 to 3, I will convert it to groundwater engineering. Right? So, tomorrow, 11 to 1, and Wednesday, again, 11 to 12 only, because 12 to 1 you have on some other class. So, tomorrow, 11 to 1, Wednesday, 11 to 12, and today, 2 to 3. Then Wednesday also 2 to 3. Right? These are the uh, Thursday, 11 to 12. I will put a message. I will put a message. Okay. వంశీ చేరేవా వైజాగ్ అయిపోయిందా వెనక్కి వచ్చేస్తున్నావు అయితే ఓకే ఓకే ఎక్కడ ఆరిలోవేనా ఓకే ఓకే సరే సరే నేను క్లాస్లో ఉన్నాను అమ్మతో మాట్లాడతావా బాగు నుంచి చేయమని చెప్తానులే అలాగే ఓకే ఓకే చెప్ Okay, so that is the schedule. Now let me proceed to the class. So in the previous class, we have considered the general groundwater flow equation. So for a two-dimensional case, so this is the equation: dou square h by dou x square plus dou square h by dou y square is equal to s by t dou h by dou t, where h is the phreatic head and s is the storage coefficient and t is the transmissivity. This is for confined aquifer. So this equation for steady flow and considering radial flow will be taking this form: 1 by r dou by dou r of r dou h by dou r equal to 0. So now the next step is to solve this equation analytically. Now normally when we consider any aquifer, aquifers can be considered to be infinite and in areal extent, if not boundaries are assumed to be impermeable, such as underlying or overlying rock or clay layers, dikes, faults or valley walls, etc. So that means if there is any impermeable layer, then the boundary will be stopped there. Otherwise, we will consider it to be an infinite extent. Or there may be highly permeable layers also. These highly permeable layers may be surface waters, which are in contact with the aquifer. Now, for example, consider a groundwater joining a river. So what happens all the time till the water reaches the river water? So it will be flowing through the aquifer. So on the top of it, there may be ground surface, and on the bottom of it, some impermeable layer. And when it is flowing, say for example, from left to right, so the rightmost boundary will be now become the water body. So that means the extent of the water table will continue until it reaches another water body. It may be a natural river, or sometimes it may be an ocean also, or it may be a lake, or maybe a reservoir or a pond. So that is what you should understand. So for getting the analytical solutions, as a first attempt, we will consider steady unidirectional flow. Unidirectional flow means flow is taking place only in one direction. Say, for example, direction X in the confined and also unconfined aquifers. Now, there are other aquifers also, which are called as leaky aquifers. Now, leaky aquifer means what? The aquifer will have a crack, and the natural flow by or the Darcian flow, what we can also say, will be deviated because of the presence of a leaky aquifer. So therefore, we consider the aquifer to be normal. And then assumption also normally we make is that the well is penetrating to the entire depth of the aquifer. Like, for example, I will show here. Suppose you consider this is the bottom impermeable layer. And let us assume that there is some top impermeable layer also. And let us assume that this is the ground surface. Now, if we assume a well, this is a well. Now, compare this well to this well. What is the difference between this well and this well? The well 1 is fully penetrated. Then this well 2 is partially penetrating. Now, the difference is, if you look at the plan, in the case of well 1, and well 2, there will be flow as I am showing in this direction. This is for flow 1. For 2 also you have similar type like this. But in addition to this flow, in the case of second well, you will have a flow in this direction also. So that means it will have both, if I call this as x direction and this as y, so it will have both x as well as y components of flow. So that means that assumption of unidirectional flow is deviated. So therefore, we will consider the well to be fully penetrating into the aquifer. So this type of well only we will consider, and the second type of well we will not consider. Okay. Flow conditions differ for confined and unconfined aquifers, and hence they need to be considered separately with flow in one direction. See, the reason is, if you consider a confined aquifer, now in the case of confined aquifer, see, you have see, this is the thickness of the aquifer. We'll call that as B. Now, when the flow is taking place, and even when the water is pumped out, what will happen? The area through which the wells get water will not change with change in this phreatic line, phreatic surface, because this is the area. This is the area. So therefore, the area will be same irrespective of the dropping of the phreatic line. But on the other hand, if we consider a unconfined aquifer, now what happens in unconfined aquifer? You have only one impermeable layer here, and the top is ground surface, and this is your piezometric surface. And when you have well here, this is well. Will. 1 minute. Hey, no. Class. So, what happens is, see, this phreatic surface will be dropping. So, if you consider the area of flow, the water level is here. This is well. This is your well. So initially, this is the water level. So, to begin with, this is the area. Then when this phreatic line goes down, then what happens? This is the area. So when there is further drawdown, this will be the area. So in case of unconfined aquifer, the area through which the flow enters the well will be varying So that is the difference between a confined aquifer and an unconfined aquifer. So let us proceed with the unconfined aquifer, confined aquifer case. Now the general groundwater equation studies groundwater flow equation in isotropic. Isotropic means K is same throughout. So you have Kx, Ky, Kz, all are replaced by K, and this is the equation. It is brought here. Now this W is the lateral or external flow. So that we will assume to be 0. So now the equation for steady groundwater flow with a velocity v in the x direction in the confined aquifer will be simply only one direction. So therefore, this term will be absent, this term will be absent, and the entire right hand side is 0. Entire right hand side is 0. So therefore, this equation becomes this. So in order to get the solution for this, simply integrate it twice. So if you integrate it twice, you will get this equation. Right? So here your C1 and C2 are constants. Now we'll assume this boundary condition. H is equal to 0 at some starting point. So we'll get C2 is equal to 0 and C1 is equal to this. Now we take the help of Darcy's equation. So what does Darcy law says? Darcy's law says that dH by dx is equal to minus V by K. So C1 therefore will become dH by dx. So if you substitute, what we get is H is equal to minus Vx by K. Actually, 1 minute. Okay. See, if you take this equation, how you get this? You take this equation. 1 minute. I will. See, you take this equation and write what is dou H by dou X. Dou H by dou X is equal to C1. If you differentiate this, because C2 is 0, because C2 is 0, So from this we will get dou H by dou X is C1. So but dou H by dou X is minus V by K. So substitute here. So C1 is equal to minus V by K. So for C1 I can substitute minus V by K. So therefore H will become this equation. H is equal to C1x. C1 is minus V by K. So minus V by K x. So this is your solution for a confined aquifer. Now what do you understand from this equation? How H is varying? H is varying,
Permeability.
yes, with x in a straight line way, linear variation. So this states that the head decreases linearly. Why decreasing? Because it's a minus sign is there. Because minus sign is there. So if you proceed x here, h decreases. So this is how your piezometric surface varies. Now this will join with the groundwater where it is being recharged. So this is your actually top confining aquifer, and this is your bottom confining aquifer. This is your recharge area. So this is how water will be entering, and it is flowing like this. So our assumption is here so this is how H is equal to minus Vx by K. So this is the analytical solution in case of confined aquifer. Now let us consider unconfined aquifer. Now solution of Laplace equation for this case is not possible. Laplace equation is what? This is Laplace equation. This is your Laplace equation. So solution for this is not possible for unconfined case. What is the reason? The reason is, see, the reason is this is your boundary. This is your boundary, original water surface. Now this boundary, what is happening? From time to time, this boundary changes. As flow proceeds, this boundary will change. So therefore, and that boundary itself is an unknown one. So to obtain a solution, what has Dupuit has made some assumptions. The assumptions are like this. These are the Dupuit's assumptions. They are very important for you to know. So the first assumption is the velocity of flow is proportional to the tangent of the hydraulic gradient instead of the sign as defined by your Darcy's law. Darcy's law says that V is equal to minus K I. I means there, what is it? Dou H by dou S. Now, let me show that. This is H, delta H. And this is so what is slope? Slope I is equal to sine of this. The slope is actually this angle. So that is dou H by dou S. So instead of that, what he has considered is, if you call this as delta x, this distance, so he has assumed that I is equal to dou H by dou x, which is tangent of this angle. So that is one condition. Then the second assumption is the flow to be horizontal and uniform everywhere in a vertical section. Now I will tell that also. Now if you consider any vertical section, so the velocity is this. All these are velocity is indicated by these arrows. So the velocity is horizontal and the magnitude is same. But strictly speaking, this is the pattern of flow. So your streamlines will be having varying distance. So that means in the velocity being uniform, the velocity will be changing. So it will be something like this. But what we are assuming is this velocity, constant velocity. So this is another assumption. This is first assumption and this is your second assumption. These assumptions, although permit obtaining a solution, the limit of applicability, sorry, 1 minute. Okay, there's no. So therefore, these assumptions, although permit obtaining a solution, limit the applicability of the results, but because it is not accurate, only an approximate solution. So, for a unidirectional flow, as shown, the discharge per unit width, see, this is velocity. This is velocity. So if you want to get discharge, you have to multiply this velocity by area. Now for area, what we do is, we will replace the area by considering unit width, so depth is h and into 1. So therefore, q is equal to minus k h into dh by ds. So dou h by dou s, this is replaced by tangent, as I told. So this is the solution for the case of an unconfined aquifer. So here K is the hydraulic conductivity and H is the height of water table and X is the direction of flow. So this is about the unconfined aquifer case. So you take this equation and integrate it. So if you integrate it, what you get? This is what you get. This is actually not V.
Q, sir.
Huh? It is Q.
Q, sir, Q.
It is Q. So Qx is equal to, if you integrate once, you get dh by dx, and if you integrate twice, you will get this equation. And these are this is the boundary condition. So this is called as the Dupit's equation for unconfined aquifer. Study unidirectional flow into an unconfined aquifer. I think this X is not there. You just verify whether this is correct or not. So what I suggest is you go back and repeat these two simplifications. Right? So this is the unconfined aquifer case. So we have considered confined aquifer and unconfined aquifer. So according to your syllabus, this is all in unit 2. In unit 2, the general equation, derivation of the general equation, and the assumptions of Forhammer, not Forhammer, I am sorry. It is Forhammer, and you can see the syllabus. Dupit Forhammer assumptions, and then general differential equations for governing groundwater flow, and analytical solutions. So with this, your second unit also is now completed. So afternoon I will start third unit. Now third unit, it will take lot of time. And fourth unit and fifth unit, they are mostly, fifth unit is mostly the descriptive part. And fourth unit also partly descriptive part. So what I will do is, I will be handling third and fourth units, and I will assign you topics. Some topics in fourth unit as well as some topics in fifth unit to be delivered by all of you. So when we come to that stage, I will indicate how it is planned and how it will be carried out. So for the time being, I think we can stop. Already it is 12, because again we have to meet at 2 o'clock, right? Or shall we, because it is too early, 2 o'clock is only 2 hours time is there. Let us not meet today. We will meet tomorrow because so much of time is there. So let us differ for today. Let us not have any class today. So directly we will meet again tomorrow. Okay? Any doubts?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. You can leave.